Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to talk. Thank you, my fellow Broomfield residents, for being here, for showing up, for letting your voice be heard. These people on this council are meant to be our representatives. They're meant to be our voice to say what we want as a community. And so by showing up here, we're doing that. I know we've been applauding when we're not supposed to. We've been booing. I apologize for that. I was a part of that. But it comes from a frustration that we feel that our voices are not being heard. I went to the forum at the First Bank Center. I asked 4 questions. I kept thinking of things that I wanted addressed. Not one of them was even remotely touched upon. My suggestion, my hope for what happens tonight is that you postpone the moratorium so that you have it as an option in the future. Ideally, where I'm coming from, just so I don't feel like I'm lying or misrepresenting myself, I don't want fracking in our community. I understand that I'm one person and you can't make that decision for me, but there is so much at stake here. I'm not talking just for myself. I'm talking for my grandchildren and their grandchildren. This has serious repercussions as to what happens in the future. You know, the first speaker came up, I apologize for not remembering your name, talked about hypocrisy and talked about how we take for granted that I'm going to drive my gasoline-powered car home and use fossil fuels to heat my house. And yes, I take that for granted. I take for granted that the fossil fuels will run out. I take for granted that in the last 100 years, our planet has lost half of its forest cover, and half of the species that existed in 1900 no longer exist. I take for granted that my children will never see those things. I take for granted that I've never seen a bison in my life, despite the fact that millions used to roam around here. I take for granted that there's a flow of trash the size of Texas made of petroleum plastic products that's flowing around in the Pacific Ocean, that it's filling the stomachs of albatross with plastic, that our planet will do fine without us, but we will not do fine without it. Please, please do not confuse legality with morality. I'm aware that the Supreme Court of Colorado said that a local community cannot have a moratorium on fracking. This is a battle worth fighting. Please, please do not confuse economic growth with prosperity. We're prosperous when we have clean air and we have water to drink, not when we have money that can't buy clean water. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Morgan.